influencers, I talked earlier about the concept of celebrity has changed. That's a huge thing people need to realize. Movie stars aren't the celebrity anymore.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to understand because I don't hope nobody here takes insult with this, but they usually don't have talent, these influencers. They're just, they've done some dance, they've they look good. Half the time I don't even understand it, but they have tens of millions or hundreds of millions of followers, and they have their audiences engaged all the time. And what I realized that sorry to go so long on this, but it's such a key point for, film in general and any kind of content. I had a dinner where we have 1,600 influencers that work with us that we've signed in contract. I had a dinner with like the 30 biggest, and I'm talking 18 to 26, anywhere between 10 million and 100 million followers. And we were telling a story, and I was telling a story about a Bono thing that we did. And one of them said, "Who's Bono?" And I was like, "Bono, U2." And they all looked at me with blank faces, like, "Do any of you guys, none of you here know who U2 is?" And one of them said, "Yeah, I do. That's that band that paid Apple all that money to be on iTunes." I was like, "Oh my!" I was like, "Do you guys know who?" I'm like, "Do you guys know who Madonna is?" They're like, "Nope." I'm like, "Tom Cruise." They're like, "The guy who jumped on Oprah's couch, right?" So, like, if you put your lens on of that world, you realize movie stars are kind of becoming less meaningful. And that's why these kids that really aren't from that business are now getting cast in movies and TV, because they realize they're kind of reverse engineering it. So I would say from a marketing perspective, the more you can grab social media in terms of really influencers, the better. And by the way, anybody here who's involved in documentaries, we are always looking for people both to buy documentaries, because we have a very cool model with it, and also for people to come shoot documentaries, and they're people documentaries, because every time we do an event, we drop a documentary on the person. So by the time we get to the event, people are invested in that person. So feel free to reach out to me, anybody who has documentaries, or even like right now we're shooting one on a guy named Teofimo Lopez, and I got the first cut today. It's awful. So we're going back to square one.
Great. Well, I'll reach out to you if that's okay. We have a company where we shoot commercials as well, with another director who's also an editor too, and did countless subjects and topics with some really leading directors. So thank you so much for answering my question.
Absolutely. And anybody who is in that documenting, directing ad that has editors, has directors, we actually, so right now, Nigel Lithgow who created American Idol Singing and Dance, is heading up our whole, what we call a Fight Club. So combining music, boxing, dancing, movement, and we just fired our director editor off of the docuseries. So literally the event's on the 19th. So if anybody wants to go to work very quickly and help, today is time.
Totally. Okay, can I drop my email or something in the chat, or reach out to
anybody here can Heather or anybody here can give them I miss email a lot. So text, since I don't think there's, you're not bombardment of people here. It's fine. Anybody can text me. I'm happy to talk to anybody.
Thanks so much.
You're on mute. Heather, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Anybody that wants Ryan's number, put it in the chat, email, just say, Heather, I want it, and I'll send it to you. And I'm going to drop to Farrah Jackson. I'm going to try to move around a little bit, because I know there's a lot of people want to talk, and he's busy. Farrah?
I can stay over a little bit.
Good.
I can stay until this week. Yeah, I can stay until like 11:30.
Okay, cool. We'll move around the room as much as we can.
Okay.
Yay,
Awesome.
everybody.
Yes, good. Thank you.
Okay, Farrah, jump on there, girl.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks so much, Heather. Hey, Ryan. I'm Farrah Jackson. I'm the VP of Partnerships and DEI at Generation Esports. We are the largest scholastic esports organization in the country, servicing nearly 5,000 high schools and middle schools.
Wow.
And actually, Brentwood, the school I believe you attended, is one of our schools.
I did.
So they compete with us. My question is, you have a lot of impact in regards to underserved students. And as we know, equity and access is not afforded to everyone the same way. For students, especially in the age of innovation. And now we're in the space where gaming is the foundation of really engaging students in education. What does social impact look like for Triller, and how could we possibly work with Triller to have more impact throughout all of our schools and initiatives like we're doing of adopting excellence, where we come in and talk about college and career opportunities, let the students hear your story. So what is social impact? What does that mean for Triller? What does it mean for moving forward into this next school year after the COVID shakeup? And what does that mean for gaming and music in high schools and middle schools through Triller?
Yeah, so there's a lot of opportunity. Our audience in Triller tends to be a little bit older. Unlike TikTok, our audience is really like 17, 18, because we're a little more, I'll call it risque. And so
A little more PG.
yeah, we're a little more like PG-13/R. And so which goes hand in hand with hip hop and rap and R&B in general. It's just,
Right.
it's not kind of a straight lace, very clean. But that being said, we do have, through our influencers, a huge amount of the younger generation, and we can get to a lot of them. And we have been talking about how we create more of a social impact. So I've seen it firsthand in my life. As I said, children have always kind of been my focus. So I got very involved with the Fulfillment Fund, and I got an award one year from them, and spent a lot of time, that 2 years actually. Tom Sherrick, who was my idol, and my son's named Tommy after Tom. And so he got me involved in that, and I got to see firsthand. So my dad went to Hamilton, and I got to spend time at Hamilton.
Nice.
Seeing children who probably otherwise would have ended up in a pretty dire situation, who came from homes that were not great and were not supportive, and we're not going to, see them through a successful high school, go from failing students to straight A students and go on to college. And the Fulfillment Fund had a 98% rate of children who started in high school, not only graduating, but going on to graduate college. And then I saw the same thing with the Sheriff's Youth Foundation and VITA, where they have these, they set up in very high crime, high gang areas, not just places, a physical place, but also teaching, where like the one in where I spent most of my time was in Compton. There was 110 gangs within a 3-mile radius. And so if you left school to go home, you were just basically going to end up in a gang. And
He's
so
so young. He's made so
I
much
think someone's not on mute.
Somebody's not on mute.
Yeah. So, I got to see even on that, where just giving them a place to be, having people help tutor them, having a place for them to play. They also went on to, they had a program attached called VITA, where they took 10 kids that were in these very, very high risk schools. Every one of them went on to college. And so each year. So we want to continue that. I mean, I've tried to do as much of that in my life. I think the app itself is a little challenging because it already is older in terms of being able to make that change. But the kids, the influencers, are the ones who can make that change the most. Meaning that, working with, like I said, there's 1,600 of them that probably together, there's a lot of crossover in their eyeballs, but let's say hit 150 million people that are generally high school age, all different walks of life. I think there is something to be done that no one's done yet, to use that network and really try and, implement a change. Because what I've seen firsthand is, if you give someone the tools, and the confidence, it can happen. And, my dad was, my grandparents were Holocaust survivors. He came here when he was 10. Sorry, he came here when he was 3. They had $10 to their name and they didn't speak English. He was working in a shoe store by the time he was 10, lived in an apartment with 11 people. And by the time my grandparents passed away, they owned, apartment buildings in Westwood. And my dad obviously went on to be very educated and successful. And so it's all about, I think, how you present those opportunities. And I don't know how that works with these influencers, but there is a big opportunity.
Definitely. Thank you, Brian. Thanks so much. We do have our entire